Part 6. Duryodhana pleads with Drona, who makes him invincible. Hearing that Arjuna was steadily approaching the Sindhu ruler, Duryodhana spoke with Drona, who had resumed his position near the Kaurava prince. Drona thought it best to stay near Jayadratha, supporting his generals. He would stand a better chance of checking Arjuna when flanked by Kripa, Karna, and Ashvatthama. In that way, Arjuna would be hard-pressed to get past Drona again. Apprehensively looking at his commander-in-chief, Duryodhana spoke. "O preceptor, Arjuna is crushing our forces like a fire among dry weeds. The fire of Dhananjay, strengthened by the wind of his anger, is swallowing up my forces. The warriors protecting Jayadratha are trembling with fear. O preceptor, you are our only shelter. Everyone came here to fight today believing that Arjuna would not escape with his life when you face him. O illustrious one, it seems you are attached to the Pandavas, and therefore I have become confused, not knowing what to do next." The tone of Duryodhana's voice was imploring. He looked anxiously about the battlefield. Karna stood at a distance with his weapons at the ready, but even he would find it hard to check Arjuna in his present mood. Only Drona could stop Arjuna if he so desired. There was not a warrior in all the worlds who could overpower Drona in battle. And as Arjuna's instructor, Drona knew everything about Arjuna's mode of fighting, and any possible weakness Arjuna might have. There could only be one reason why Drona had not already slain Arjuna. So Duryodhana frowned, and then said, "To the best of my ability, I have always tried to please you, O great Brahmana, but it seems you do not value my service. O man of infinite prowess, although we are devoted to you, it appears you do not wish us well. Although you live on our bread, you still injure us. I now see that you are like a razor soaked in honey. If you had not assured me, I would not have prevented Jayadratha from returning to his kingdom. Fool that I am, I believed you, and as a result, I have virtually offered him as a victim to death. Indeed, a man might escape even when he enters the jaws of death, but there is no chance that Jayadratha will escape when he faces the infuriated Bibhatsu in battle." Duryodhana wept tears of frustration, trying by any means to incite Drona to attack Arjuna. Now feeling afraid that he may have had the opposite effect, Duryodhana spoke more gently. "O great hero, forgive my ravings, for I am afflicted by grief. I fall at your feet. Please, please save Jayadratha, and indeed our army, from that enraged and invincible Jishnu, Arjuna." By now, Drona looked wearied. How many times did Duryodhana have to be told? "O ruler of men, I am not offended by your words. You are the same to me as my own son Ashvatthama. Thus, I have tried in every way to assist you. I have tendered you wholesome advice, but you do not listen. I have made vows for your benefit, fully intent on keeping them. and before all men I promised to capture Yudhishthir. But it was to no avail. And then again I vowed to protect Jayadratha. But tell me, how is it possible when we face both Arjuna and Krishna together on the same chariot? I can only endeavor to my fullest extent, but I cannot control the results. After all, destiny is the ultimate controller, despite man's exertion. And the Lord of Destiny sits by the side of Arjuna, who is also known as Krishna. Drona just shook his head and then looked around at the thick ranks of warriors protecting Jayadratha. Doubtlessly they would all soon be lying dead, for Arjuna would spare no one in his efforts to slay the Sindhu king, and Krishna would do anything to protect his friend's promise. Krishna had already shown that enough times. Duryodhana, however, was faithless and could not understand this simple truth. Now, with a sweep of his hand, Drona Acharya indicated the forces surrounding him. You see these troops? These are the last line of defense for Jayadratha. But I will not personally confront Arjuna again, as I am needed here, and nor will Arjuna fight with me at the present. When I tried engaging with Arjuna, he simply left me standing. Drona could very well understand that the situation was desperate. The Pandavas had thought out their strategy very well. Their forces had pressed ahead behind Arjuna, taking advantage of the chaos Arjuna was causing. All the chief Kaurava warriors were engaged in different parts of the battlefield, either fighting or remaining in critical position for the protection of Jayadratha. Someone had to check Arjuna, but Duryodhana was the only one available. Drona continued speaking. "O great hero, you are a mighty Maha-Bharata. You are possessed of fame and skilled at defeating your enemies. Now, go to where Arjuna stands, challenge him yourself, and arrest his progress." Now, looking up in astonishment, Duryodhana replied, "O preceptor, how do you honestly expect me to stop Arjuna? I may be able to conquer Indra, armed with his thunderbolt and heading the host of the gods, but it will not be possible for me to conquer Arjuna. Why, he has already overcome you and Kritavarma, as well as slaying all of the Kalinga rulers. Arjuna has also slaughtered myriads of fierce barbarian fighters. How can I face Arjuna? O Great One, I am dependent upon you. Please save my honor." "Yes, O King, what you say is most true. No one can defeat Arjuna. Under normal circumstances, I would not risk you against him. But now we face a dire calamity. Still, you need not fear, for I will make you invincible even to Arjuna. I will tie on your armor in such a way that will make it impenetrable to both human and celestial weapons. Even if the creatures of the three worlds come together against you, still you need not fear. Although Arjuna knows all about this, no one else on this battlefield does. Now, take off your armor, O King, and I will tie it on again while reciting ancient mantras which were uttered by Lord Brahmaji himself. Then you may proceed fearlessly against that mighty Sabyasachi Arjuna." Duryodhana quickly removed his golden armor. After Drona Acharya touched water for purification and rinsed his mouth, he replaced the armor while intoning the appropriate mantras. And when he had finished, Drona said, "Now you will be able to face any foe with impunity. This celestial armor, invoked by my prayers, was originally given by Lord Brahma to Indradev. Clad in this armor, Indra fought and defeated the great Vitra Asura, who had overpowered all the other celestials. O king, go forward and face Arjuna. There is no time to lose." Amara Varasatumi Tomara Charani Loinu Sharana Tomara Kinkoro Ami Gopinath 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 Gopinath. Part 7. Arjuna destroys the two princes of Avanti. As the sun reached the meridian on the 13th day, many terrific battles were being fought between the respected heroes of both sides. Drona was steadily pressing forward, hoping to meet Drona in single combat. Bhimasena constantly sought out Dhritarashtra's sons, while Yudhishthir engaged with Shalya and his division of warriors. Satyaki encountered Bhalika, Sahadev fought with Shakuni, Gatotkacha and his Rakshasa hordes with Alambusha and his supporters, and the other chief fighters among the Pandavas fought opponents of equal might. Fighting with both human and celestial weapons, the great warriors created a beautiful sight on the battlefield as they attacked and counterattacked each other, displaying all their skills. Meanwhile, Arjuna continued to plow through the tightly packed Kaurava troops. Hearing news of his progress, Jayadratha shook with fear. Karna and Ashwatthama stood by Jayadratha's sides, but they were grim-faced. Still some 20 miles away from Jayadratha, Arjuna fought on remorselessly. With his fiery shafts, he created breaches in the enemy defenses, and Krishna would then quickly drive the chariot through. Wherever the chariot went, the Kauravas were driven back like darkness at sunrise. Arjuna's arrows slew men standing a full 2 miles away. Bhibatsu's well-tempered and polished steel shafts dropped from the sky like showers of meteors. As Vijay annihilated the troops who opposed him, Krishna baffled their attacks by his skillful driving, exhibiting various expert maneuvers as the chariot moved with circular, backwards, and sideways motions. Sometimes Arjuna's progress was swift, and at other times slow. But no one saw Sabyasachi cease fighting for a moment. His bow was constantly drawn, and arrows flew out in endless streams. It took great courage to even look at Arjuna. Thousands of warriors, careless of their own lives, rushed against Kiriti and perished like insects falling into a fire. But as the sun began its downward course, Arjuna was attacked by the two princes of Avanti, Vinda and Anuvinda. Both were Maha-Bharatas, and they came at Arjuna from both sides at once. Roaring in delight, the fearless warriors charged at Arjuna, releasing their long-shafted arrows by the hundreds. Surprised by their sudden appearance, Arjuna was hit hard by more than 60 arrows. Krishna also was pierced with the same number of arrows, and the horses were all caught with 20 arrows each. Blazing in anger, Vijay shook off their shafts and aimed his own arrows at his antagonists. Looking for their vulnerable points, Arjuna struck both of them and stopped their forward movement. The two princes screamed out their battle cries, covering Vibhatsu with a downpour of arrows. Ignoring their attack, Arjuna carefully aimed a couple of broad-headed shafts and cut apart both their bows. And with 2 more arrows, Vijay cut off their flag standards. And with another dozen arrows, Arjuna slew their chariot drivers and horses. All of this happened within a matter of moments, and before the princes could do anything, Arjuna shot a crescent-headed shaft with full force, which severed Vinda's head. Now, seeing his brother slain, Anuvinda bounced from his chariot. Bellowing with rage, he clutched his mace and raced towards Arjuna. Anuvinda swerved from side to side as he ran. He was determined to avenge the death of his brother. Reaching Arjuna's chariot, Anuvinda brought the mace down with all of his power onto Krishna's forehead. However, Krishna remained firm. But now Arjuna was utterly enraged to see Anuvinda strike his friend Krishna. So Arjuna shot 5 short arrows which cut off Anuvinda's arms, legs, and head. The prince fell down like fragments of rocks shattered by an explosion. Kemone shodibe more na jani bhakati karme jadamati porechi songshara gore Gopinath 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 Gopinath. Part 8. Arjuna gets water for his thirsty horses. Now seeing both their leaders killed, the Avanti army rushed in a body at Arjuna. Kiriti slew them with arrows shot from his Gandiva bow, which appeared like showers of sparks flying up from a great fire. Whirling about in his chariot, Vijay consumed the army like a fire consuming a forest at the end of the summer. Thousands of other troops then came at Arjuna. His chariot was completely lost in the enemy ranks. Krishna found it impossible to move in any direction, and as the battle raged on, Krishna said, "O Partha, such is the intensity of this fight that even our celestial horses are becoming weary, and we are still far from Jayadratha, and these horses need rest." Fighting on continuously, Arjuna replied, "O Madhava, I will create a path through these foes. You may then take the chariot through, unyoke the horses, and let them rest. Draw out the arrows from their bodies while I keep these warriors in check." Arjuna then directed a great stream of arrows at his enemies, forcing them back. Shvetavahana then sprang down from the chariot, still releasing countless shafts, and Krishna drove away from Arjuna. The Kauravas, now seeing Arjuna standing on the ground, felt that their opportunity for victory had arrived. Roaring even louder, they ignored Krishna and the chariot, and then trained all their weapons on Falguna. Arjuna fought on foot against them. He spun around and shot searing arrows in all directions. The amazed Kauravas could not find any gap in the defenses of Bibhatsu. To approach Arjuna was to rush into a solid wall of arrows. The meeting of Vijay's shafts with those of his adversaries created a sheet of fire in the sky. Scorched, the Kauravas fell back. Arjuna then ran over to where Krishna had released the horses. Krishna told him that the horses needed water badly, and Arjuna replied, "Yes, it shall be done." Now, drawing back his bow with a golden arrow fixed to it, Sabyasachi uttered incantations to invoke the Varuna Astra. Arjuna shot the arrow at the earth, and at once a large lake appeared, with swans, ducks, and other aquatic birds swimming amid lotuses and lilies. The clear pond had been transported from the heavenly regions and was cool and pleasing. A gentle breeze blew over it, and celestial sages were seated on its banks. Now, invoking yet another mystical weapon, Arjuna constructed a shelter on the lakeside made entirely of arrows. Krishna laughed and applauded Arjuna. Arjuna then led the horses into the shelter, where after drinking to their fill, the horses lay on grassy ground. Krishna then removed their arrows and gently massaged their bodies. By now the Kauravas had rallied and again surrounded Arjuna, who continued to fight on foot. Showers of arrows, darts, and lances fell upon Arjuna, but Sabyasachi stood as firm as Mount Meru. Arjuna received the massive downpour of weapons like a mountain receiving rain. And just as the single fault of covetousness destroys all of a man's good qualities, Kiriti single-handedly destroyed his enemies. Contending alone against countless warriors seated on chariots, horses, and elephants, Bibhatsu appeared wonderful. Celestials praised Jishnu, and the Kauravas themselves applauded Arjuna's prowess. They marveled at the sight of the lake and the shelter Arjuna had created. Despite strenuous exertions, the Kauravas could not overcome Vijay, even though Arjuna was disadvantaged by the loss of his chariot. Sabyasachi's speed, lightness of hands, and agility were too great, and as Arjuna held off the Kaurava forces, Krishna harnessed the horses and drove up to Arjuna's side. And as Krishna did so, the mystical lake, along with its birds, aquatics, and rishis, suddenly vanished. Now, mounted once again on his chariot, Arjuna sounded his kanchal. Krishna urged on the horses, and the chariot rushed into the thick of the Kauravas, with Arjuna spraying deadly shafts on all sides. Like a storm agitating the ocean, Vijay created havoc among the enemy ranks. The Kauravas were beaten back and unable to check Arjuna's progress. Some of them called out, "Fie upon Duryodhana! It is his fault that the earth now faces such a calamity. These two heroes, Krishna and Arjuna, will spare no one." Yes, Dhritarashtra should begin the preparations for Jayadratha's last rites. The Sindhu ruler will be killed this very day. Sakalito Maramaya Nahi Mama Bala Jnana Sunirmala Swadhina Nahe Ekaya Gopinath 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 Gopinath. Part 9. Arjuna's arrows strike Duryodhana on the tips of his fingers. Arjuna now pressed forward relentlessly. Only 4 hours remained until sunset, and Arjuna still had 10 miles of troops to cross. The bravest of the Kauravas rushed against Arjuna, but like rivers entering the sea, they did not return. Other cowardly warriors, like atheists turning away from Scripture, turned back from the fight, thus incurring condemnation and sin. The fire-colored chariot Krishna drove appeared like Suryadev's chariot driven by Aruna. It tore through the Kaurava ranks. Rested and refreshed, the horses now raced ahead, seeming to rise up into the sky at every moment. Arjuna and Krishna appeared like 2 fiery sun planets risen together at the end of the Yuga. Anyone coming near them was burnt by the fire of Vijay's weapons and fell lifeless to the earth. The Kauravas facing Kiriti became dispirited and hopeless. Vainly they struggled to check Falguna from reaching Jayadratha. But in less than 1 hour, Dhananjaya could see in the distance Drona Acharya's tall flag standard. And with a triumphant shout, Jishnu said, "See there, the preceptor's banner, O Madhava! I think we are drawing close to the Sindhu king. Jayadratha cannot be more than a few miles away." Again, Krishna advised Arjuna to circumvent Drona so as to not lose time. But Drona had already seen Arjuna and was shooting arrows which flew more than 2 miles and pierced both Arjuna and Krishna. Bleeding from their wounds, they appeared like 2 flowering Karnikara trees. Krishna drove the chariot away from Drona's attack, placing a body of Kaurava troops between them. Krishna then moved in a great circle around Drona's division. Arjuna continuously launched his blazing shafts in unending lines which struck down men, horses, and elephants alike. As Arjuna came within a few miles of Jayadratha, suddenly Arjuna was met by Duryodhana. With his now impenetrable armor shining brilliantly, the Kaurava prince sent up a mighty roar and charged. Drawing up his chariot at a short distance from his enemy, Duryodhana shouted out a challenge. Krishna stopped the chariot and said, "Behold, Dhritarashtra's powerful son, standing furiously before you. Duryodhana has constantly hated you Pandavas and is an accomplished warrior, capable of contending with innumerable warriors at once. O Kiriti, I think that the time has come when you should fight with Duryodhana. For upon Duryodhana rests victory or defeat. Vomit upon him the venom of your wrath, O Partha. It is your good fortune that has brought Duryodhana before you alone. Why has he risked his own life in this way? Surely he will soon regret his folly. Now, strike down this evil-hearted one, and the war will be over. O Falguna, kill Duryodhana and cut the root of the wicked Kauravas." Arjuna stared angrily at the bellowing Duryodhana. "Yes, let it be so, Keshava. Go closer to this wretch so that I may punish him with sharpened shafts. I will now avenge the wrongs Duryodhana committed against Draupadi." Krishna drove the chariot toward Duryodhana. Seeing the Kaurava chief exhibiting no fear, even though there was sufficient cause, many warriors looked on and applauded. But others cried out in sorrow, considering Duryodhana to be like a libation of ghee poured into a sacrificial fire. And they cried in terror, "Oh, the king is slain! The king is slain!" "Ha ha ha! Dispel your fears, for I will soon send these 2, Krishna and Arjuna, to the abode of death. O Partha, let me see your prowess. Release all the weapons you have learned from Drona and the weapons you received from the Celestials. Watch now as I repulse your attack. Then I will sever your head along with Krishna's." Immediately, Duryodhana pierced Arjuna with 3 arrows which flew invisibly towards him. And with 4 more arrows, Duryodhana pierced each of Arjuna's horses. And with another 10 arrows, Duryodhana struck Krishna. And with yet another well-aimed arrow, Duryodhana cut the whip which was in Krishna's hand as it fell to the ground in 2 pieces. Arjuna drew back the Gandiva bow to his ear and fired 4 steel-headed shafts which screamed through the air. Hitting Duryodhana's armor, they fell harmlessly to the earth. Arjuna released another 16 arrows, which were again deflected from Duryodhana's armor. Arjuna shot 20 more shafts with even more power, but these were also ineffective against Duryodhana's impenetrable armor. Seeing this, Krishna said with surprise, "Oh, I have not seen this before. Your arrows, capable of penetrating the very earth, are falling uselessly from Duryodhana's armor. O Partha, is everything well with you? Is your Gandiva losing its power? Why are you unable to pierce your enemy? This is not the time to fail. What is the cause?" But Arjuna understood. Looking at the laughing Duryodhana, Arjuna replied to Krishna, "I think Drona has tied on Duryodhana's armor today. It contains the might of the three worlds. Only Drona knows its secret, and he has taught it to me as well. No weapon can pierce this armor. Oh Krishna, surely you know this, because you know everything. Just see how this fool stands before me. Why, he is like a woman clad in armor and does not know how to take advantage of his position. Even though he is protected by an impenetrable coat of armor, still I will defeat Duryodhana. Watch now as I send him reeling from my attack." Duryodhana stood fearlessly in his chariot, calling out to Arjuna derisively, "Oh, Partha, try again. Ha! I think you are losing your touch." Duryodhana then fired a thick volley of shafts, covering both Arjuna and Krishna. The Kauravas watching the fight were delighted to see Duryodhana impervious to the attack of Arjuna. They roared and beat their drums. Fending off Duryodhana's arrows, Arjuna became incensed. With a taut smile, he slew Duryodhana's 4 horses. Arjuna then broke apart Duryodhana's chariot with 100 hammer-headed shafts. Now taking another 4 arrows with extended points, Arjuna empowered them with mantras, aiming them carefully at the Kaurava. And as Duryodhana was releasing his own arrows, Arjuna struck Duryodhana on the tips of his fingers, which were the only exposed part of his body. Duryodhana screamed in pain as the arrows went under his fingernails. Dropping his bow, Duryodhana jumped about on the terrace of his chariot, shaking his hands in agony. Now, seeing their leader distressed, other Kaurava warriors rushed to rescue Duryodhana. They surrounded Arjuna with chariots, elephants, and horses. Kripa Acharya, who had come to assist Duryodhana, took him on his chariot, bearing the emblem of a bull and carrying him to safety. And once again, Arjuna set out to slay the Kaurava troops. Soon, Arjuna managed to break free from his assailants, and as his chariot emerged from the enemy array, both Arjuna and Krishna blew their conch shells with full power. That sound filled the battlefield and terrified the Kauravas. Jayadratha also heard it in the distance and froze in his chariot, looking fearfully in the direction of that sound. And elsewhere on the battlefield, the other Pandavas had been fighting and destroying thousands of foes. The losses on both sides were great. The earth again assumed a terrible aspect, with the bodies of slain men and beasts lying about amid the wreckage of chariots, armor, and weapons. Mito Shakali Paro Durjane Tarite Tomara Shakati Keache Papira Aro Gopinath, 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 Gopinath. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praklada Klada Dayane. Praklad Aklada Dayane. Hiranya Kashipo Vakshaha. Hiranyakashi Horavaksha Shilatankan Kalayi Shilatankan Kalayi Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha Yato Yato Yamitato Narasimha Narasimha Rinaye Narasimha Bahi Narasimha Rinaye Narasimha Narasimham Ading Sharanang Rapati Narasimham Ading Sharanang Prapaji. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanvringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Sabakara Kamala Bari Nakamat Bhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narasimha Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha, Jaya Jagadisha, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Narsingha, Jaya Narsingha, Jaya Jaya Narsingha, Prahlad Desha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.